K&K for signal structure evaluations and town engineering on-call services in the amount not to exceed $150,000 per task order, and with work completed per contract year not to exceed $500,000. Contract renewal number 4 for wetland studies and solutions, doing business as WSSI for stormwater engineering on-call services in the amount not to exceed $150,000 per task order, and work completed per contract year not to exceed $500,000. We have a resolution recognizing April the 13th through the 19th, 2025 as National Public Safety Telecommunications Week. And we need to set a public hearing for May 13th for purchase of property located on the southern side of Cambria Street Northwest, approximately 2.31 acre tax parcel 466-A-AC2 for $370,000.
Make a motion to approve.
Second.
Motion and a second. Any discussions? Madam Clerk?
Councilman Bishop.
Aye.
Councilwoman Bowman.
Aye.
Councilwoman Hicks.
Aye.
Councilwoman Hockett.
Aye.
Councilman Jenkins.
Aye.
Councilman Wilson.
Aye.
That is 6-0. We have no introductions and presentations, so we'll move into citizens' comments, which is a 3-minute portion that you may come before the podium and address council on issues relating to the operation of the town. Anyone here like to address council?
Christine Waltz, 1370 Rigby Street. Apparently, at the last council meeting, I caused a kerfluffle. I want to go ahead and I want to help Tanya Hockett with the timeline regarding the FOIA that Councilman Hicks was discussing. I actually approached her after my husband received a text message on March 7th. We were at home, and somebody contacted my husband and said, "Hey, do you got a minute? Can I talk to you? Because I have a FOIA." And he said, and contrary to popular belief, he's a really good guy. So he said, "Yeah, sure." And he went ahead and he spoke with the person, and this person said, "Listen, I've been trying to get in touch with the town, and I haven't been very successful." And my husband sat with him, pulled up his calendar to make sure he'd given Christina Edney adequate time, or, excuse me, Christina Bolt. And by the way, I've had a conversation with her, so she kind of knows that I was going to say something. And so he pulled up the thing, and he said, "They're late." And by the way, she's an amazing person. We've dealt with her before. No problems with her as far as a human being. She's awesome. And as far as I've been aware, she's a good employee. I've told her on numerous occasions that she's very kind, and I appreciate that. So next, 7th, he goes ahead, he talks to him, and he says, "Well, how have you been trying to get in touch with him?" And he gives my husband a phone number, and the phone number is incorrect. My husband has Christina Bolt's phone number, so he went ahead and he gave that phone number to the gentleman, and that was at 10 o'clock. By 2 o'clock, he had actually gotten the opportunity to speak to Christina Bolt because he had the right information, not the information that was on your website. I went out of town for a week, so she had no idea at this point because I was out of town, and I didn't have time to maneuver with people. But I came back from my vacation, and we were having a conversation. And I said something to her, and I said, "Yeah, the town was late on a FOIA." So she was trying to navigate last time when she came here on how to address something. And you all have different leadership styles. We put all of you in charge for reasons, and you all have different styles. And I think it is absolutely ridiculous that somebody would basically go, "You're doing it wrong." She was put up there just like you were, and you were. And it is absolutely absurd that I hear somebody saying, "Well, you just cut and paste from Chris Waltz." She didn't cut and paste. What she did is she sat on the phone with me And you have this little chart here. You put it every year in here. Citizen, mayor and town council. She's my representative. I spoke with her and I said, Joanna, there are a lot of errors on the website. And I said, go to local government, click on elections. There's a mistake there. And this was not like meant to be a big issue. It was meant to be a way to correct the problem while I was sick. And you all turned it into some big game. I don't feel like maybe I belong up here. Maybe I go down on the bottom, right?
You have 30 seconds.
Maybe that's where the other person, the person who didn't get his FOIA request on time because the information on your website wasn't accurate. Maybe that's where he goes, right? On the bottom instead of up on the top? It's insane. I keep saying over and over again to people, be kind to each other. You're up there for a reason. And I don't know anything to do other than to keep saying, be kind to each other.
Thank you, Ms. Waltz. Anyone else?
Chris Waltz, 1370 Rigby Street. See the facade grants up there? I say that we go with Councilman Bishop's plan, which is put it on hold. I mean, this thing has been modified now where, okay, we're taking away the time limit for the buildings, the age of the building. Oh, we're expanding it through the whole town. Oh, but we're going to actually change the grading system, so it's really only going to apply to downtown and Cambria. I mean, there's nothing like trying to BS the citizens, and that's what they're trying to do. It's not a great program, and since your proposed budget ends at 31% when you're it's supposed to be the fund budget policy or whatever it is, fund balance policy is supposed to be 35 to 40. Yeah, we don't have money to waste. And that's exactly what this program is, a waste of money. And Mr. Wilson, I am sorry that I thought that was you with the potty mouth. I guess maybe it was, which is even worse. I mean, you're going to have a discussion tonight about town staff engagement policy, and what's even worse is if it wasn't you, it was a member of town staff who was standing here at the microphone taking the Lord's name in vain. That should be unacceptable. It should be unacceptable for a council member or the mayor when he decides to talk about horse poop with a different word for poop. And I'm also looking forward to seeing all this. I saw the attorney engagement policy. I mean, the reason for the attorney engagement policy was, again, the mayor and council were at a impasse over the mayor disclosing what he was having hours-long conversation with the former town attorney about. And that's why it came about. It was actually so bad that they quit paying the attorney bills for like 3 months because the mayor would not answer their question of, why are you getting us billed all this money? Other than the one for the gun control with him and Councilman Huppert, I believe it was.
It's Mr. Hupperd's letter he wanted to send and asked me if I approved of it, and I said, no. Let's take it to the attorney and see.
And still
What
got
it
billed
came
for
to.
that.
Huh?
Still got billed for that.
No, I don't think so. Oh,
got
yeah,
the-
we did. That's right. It was on the bill.
Yeah, I've got the
You
bill.
find all that stuff. I forget things.
Yes.
Thank you.
And again, you know, we talked about, or you're going to talk about tonight, and I sent you all emails about your ethics, your code of ethics policy. I sent you some stuff that, you know, looks like pretty unethical behavior to me. Yet again, the mayor doing this little cosplay thing on election day at the polling place in a Christiansburg Police Department shirt, accusing someone who was running for office of committing a crime, while people are going in and out of the polling station, making a huge scene. Sent you a copy of that video too. Maybe you could talk about that, because I have a feeling that none of the stuff I sent you is actually what you wanted to talk about. You just want to hammer another member of council that you disagree with. All of you were elected, and your leadership styles are going to vary. None of you have the right to tell somebody else how to do oversight. That's their job. And if you don't want to do oversight, that's fine. But if they do, they should be allowed. That's what they were elected for. And each of you has to figure out why we elected you, if we voted for you. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else? Ma'am, I think you were, there you go.
Good evening. My name is Corey Hamilton. I live at 403 3rd Street. It is National Library Week. I just wanted to say we love the Christiansburg Library. We love the meetings and classes they have there and the plant swap. We go there weekly to pick out movies. We've gotten passports. So the staff there is super friendly. And if you haven't been to the library recently, I suggest swinging by and picking up something outside of your usual, just because they spend a lot of time to curate what they have, and it's fantastic. So, thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else?
Hi, it's my first time here. I've lived here since 2021, but I figured I would get more involved lately. I'm Megan Peterson. I live at 995 Church Street. I don't know if this is the best platform, but I figured I would just kind of talk about some interests that I have and some information that I'm seeking and see if you guys could point me towards the best resources, or we can talk after. I'm really interested in climate resiliency of Christiansburg long term, the future. I read a little bit about the Montgomery plan or whatever that we had for the county. I'm a gardener, so I've seen different things like a month's worth of rainfall in one day and things like that. So I'm interested in that long term. Also interested in where I can find things like crime rates for the town, and then also just interested in what overall the council has control over, jurisdiction over, because I know there's state laws and town laws and things like that. Some things you can't do because of a state law, blah, blah, blah. There you go. And then I guess also, I'll second the library statement. I also love the library, and I check out books there often. So I think that's all I have.
Thank you. I might suggest, if you have an interest in these things, you might want to reach out to a member of our public information office,
Okay.
either Christina or Katie, and pick a time and come down and kind of go over what
Okay.
we
awesome.
do.
Thank you.
And the crime rates, you did say crime rates, right?
Yeah, I tried to look up a little
That'd
online.
be Chris,
but I couldn't.
our police chief is over there.
Okay, great. And I think that's, thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else? Thank you. And we'll close the citizens' comments, committee reports. Any committees met within the last, Mr. Wilson?
Parks and Rec, just a few things. Randy's going to cover upcoming events when we get around to that. I think it's interesting to note that the farmer's market is fastly approaching. We've got, at this point, 12 people committed and several others who are coming on board. We're just waiting to approve their application. Another thing is, if you haven't gone by our garden plots lately, 3 years ago, we started out with 6 plots. We're up to 34, and we have 25 people committed at this point to occupy them. So the garden plot thing has grown immensely. And just a quick shout out to Parks and Rec. You know, we had the spring kickoff this past weekend. They do so much, the Parks and Rec, more than just the events downtown. There's always something going on somewhere in this town that they're involved in.
Thank you. Any other committees?
Yes, last Wednesday, the Aquatic Center had their advisory board meeting, and they voted and approved they're looking at increasing the membership fee. Right now, the membership fee for the citizens of Christiansburg is $10. They're looking at increasing that to $15. Non-residents is $15. They're looking at increasing that to $20. And children, going from 5 to 10 and 10 to 15. And the day pass, they're looking at increasing that from $6 to $2. Right now, they're planning on putting this in process next month. And once again, this is just for council's information. No actions needed by council at this time. And also, the HVAC system has to be put back out for rebidding because they did not get any bids from the last time. And the reason, mainly, you tell me if I'm wrong, Terry, it's that the time restraint was too tight for the contractors to look at, so they're looking at maybe changing the time restraints. Is that correct, Terry? Okay. All right. That's all I have.
Thank you. Any other committees that have met? Hearing none. Thank you. We'll go into discussion and action by mayor and council. Facade grant. We have had a completely revamped facade grant program or updated facade grant program. And I guess it was discussed last meeting. And, you know, I think that it's a good grant. It answered a lot of questions and has a lot more input needed by the people that are applying for a grant, and that they're going to need to, if they're interested, they're going to have to go through a couple of seminars and a learning experience about this thing. So I think that makes it a fairly interactive plan instead of just submitting an application and wondering whether you got approved or not. So any other thoughts and comments, or do I have a motion to approve?
I have the, read, I cannot find that thing again, but do I have to say every time, like today? Probably, don't I?
Yeah, I think you do.
I was looking for your email, I cannot find it. So I may have a conflict of interest or whatever, because I own properties downtown, and because of COIA conflict of interest, I'm actually gonna be abstaining from this, and especially because I am downtown area, and according to the scoring, I will get preference definitely on, because all our buildings and properties downtown. So in case I do apply, I wanna make sure that I do abstain for this. Thank you.
Any other comments or suggestions?
Yeah, I just want to say that, in my opinion, it's in the best interest of the taxpayer, and in fairness to all the businesses in the community, I will be voting no.
Thank you. Anyone else? Do we have a motion?
I'll make a motion to approve.
I'll second.
Motion to approve, second to approve. Any further discussions?
I think that we have a really smart approach for this upcoming cycle, and I think that it will be very clear for businesses how to apply what's allowed, the steps of the process. They're going to feel really supported. We have a great scoring system that gives priority to those downtown and historic areas. And I would really like us to give this a try and see how well this does. And, you know, next year, if we make these adjustments and nobody applies, we'll know that there's no interest. But I really think that for the citizens who want this funding or need this funding for their facades, we've given them a great opportunity to take advantage of that and really make our downtown areas and all around town more beautiful.
Okay. Any other discussion? Madam Clerk?
Councilman Bishop,
No.
Councilwoman Bowman,
No.
Councilwoman Hicks,
Abstaining.
Councilwoman Hockett,
Aye.
Councilman Jenkins,
Aye.
Councilman Wilson.
So that is 3-2 and 1 abstention, so the motion carries, and we're going to try it one more time. Let me clarify one thing, Chris. You've mentioned something about the reserves. In the corner of the letter, we're required to have between 30 and 45% reserves. We'll have 31%, so we're still, even through the budget, we're still in line with what our procedures are, policies are on that. Okay, facade grants, town staff, town attorney engagement, and council decorum.
Where is that under? I'm sorry, the
It's a
20 to
discussion.
35%?
Huh?
The 20 to 35%?
I've read the financial report.
And where was that, under what page? 'Cause I looked
It's in the
under-
budget,
I understand it's in the budget, but what page?
page 4. It says, in accordance with our fund balance policy to maintain unassigned fund balance between 30 and 45% of prior operating expenses, the above sources and uses is approximated to leave the town with 31% in unassigned fund balance at the end of the fiscal 2026 fiscal. year.
That says 30 to 45%, right?
It says is a
And then-
policy between 30 and 45%. It's
And
not
then-
saying we can't.
Yeah, but I think you just corrected Mr. Waltz and said 20 to 35%.
Mr. Waltz said 30 to 40, 35 to 45, I'm not sure.
Yeah, that's what the town website actually says.
30 to 45, 35 to
It
45?
says 35 to 40.
Yeah.
And at 45, you look at cutting taxes or doing big projects. And at 30, you talk about cutting services or raising taxes.
So we're at 31%, so we're in line. Okay, town staff, town engagement, and council decorum, that is, I think Mr. Wilson and Ms. Hockett wanted to discuss this.
So my thing about the town staff is, again, there's a chain of command. And I'm not saying that we don't have oversight over the staff in the town. However, they all work for somebody, so when we go directly to a staff member without going through the proper channel, their supervisor, which is, in my opinion, Randy, we ask staff members for stuff through Randy because he dictates their schedule. And that was the point I was making, is that there is a chain of command. And so we follow the chain of command down the chain, just like we expected a member who came before council back in November was supposed to follow the chain of command to render the remarks that was inappropriately made in the council chambers. So it goes both ways, and that was my point on town staff. Interaction from us is that we should always go through Randy. That's my 2 cents.
Okay. So on the attorney engagement, I think the policy, if I read, and I'm looking at you, is that request for sending emails to the attorney should go first to the town manager for review, and he is to forward it to you.
I think that's the policy, yes.
So sending a
Except
letter,
for
sending
that
an,
quote.
I'm talking, Ms. Hicks. Sending an email to the town manager and a copy to the assistant town manager and the town attorney is not the proper code, is that correct? Is that the way you understand it?
It says that,
You need to lead up to the microphone there.
sorry. The policy says that questions for legal counsel shall be channeled through the town manager, except there's an exception for certain things, for which sorry, I haven't had trouble reading here. Town attorney may be contacted directly in matters involving those positions by which the elected body maintains appointment authority. So, not sure how
So if it
to,
has something to do with my position as mayor,
town manager, police chief, treasurer, and clerk of council are those.
those
Not
people.
mayor.
Not the mayor, that's good. All right. And, go ahead.
If I could, so I think it's important for us to discuss, or at least acknowledge, the attorney engagement policy. I've been concerned that our continued engagement outside of those guidelines that we've agreed to will cost taxpayers money. I mean, he has every right to charge for each time that we engage him, and most of the time I see that those engagements have not been necessary. And I think that we've had instances where council members have directly contacted the town attorney for their own businesses, their own personal needs, and said that, I'm coming to you as a citizen and not as a council person, but that's expressly listed as one of the things that's prohibited in the agreement that we have all adopted. And so I would really like to see council consider each time the town attorney is contacted outside of this policy, reimbursing the town for the cost of that service, just for consideration. because I really think we're abusing the town attorney's contact every time we ignore this policy.
So it's interesting because this was started years before I actually started in town council. And there was a very heated conversation between actually Showalter and Michael Barber before regarding this. This all started with Mr. Hopper and everything else. Actually, it's interesting because we just got an email today from Mr. Chris Walls talking about even that meeting that took place. So there's actually a meeting out there where this happened publicly, where it was discussed about the lawyer engagement policy. When I had contacted COIA and FOIA officers from Richmond, they had said that if in any case you have issues with FOIA or COIA, and you additionally have questions besides what Alan Gearhart or whatever his name is can do for you, you will have to seek help from your lawyer from the town because that's his job. And in case that there is a consideration that there may be issues in the later future, that he should be contacted. In the case of the town being someone saying that they are going to sue the town, yes, I actually have sent this to Randy, and I have sent it to Reed in the past. Do I think that that's going to happen? Anything like that's going to happen in the future? But I have to protect myself also, and I have to protect the town. My job is to protect the citizens of Christiansburg and protect us from a lawsuit. As far as FOIA, my feelings about FOIA, I have never seen actually, as far as like in the interactions, the emails that have been sent out, I have not seen the first bill regarding the couple of questions that I actually, well, not even questions, just sharing something with Reed. So for you to say something like that, I will want to counter that because there is a $27,000 spent for the mayor to avoid the position regarding Allegheny construction. And we actually didn't even find out any of this. None of this came to town council before. None of those questions were asked to town council if the mayor was able to talk to Reed about this. This didn't go through the chamber of what you're supposed to be doing. If that's what you're saying that you're gonna do, you have to follow it for everybody. It's not just some people and some other people doesn't work. And as far as like a business, if my husband or anybody from any other company sends an email to Reed, they don't have, just because they're in town council or someone has the town council position, that doesn't mean it takes everybody else's rights to contact a lawyer, especially if they're gonna possibly, maybe issues with maybe suing the town for any loss of income or anything like that. I'm more than sure that Reed, the lawyer of the town, will want to investigate and maybe, talk to Randy about that. So I do think as a protection for the town council members, and as far as our budget that we have that is very, I'm looking at these numbers and everything, and this is problematic to me. I mean, I ask a lot of questions all the time, and I want to make sure that I get answers. And I always try to go, we always ask Randy, or we used to ask Valerie. I mean, we have never had this whole thing of, oh, you cannot ask questions. I mean, even Christine came the last time, she asked for questions, and I asked her a question. I ask questions, and that's how everybody should do. That's my job. I feel like my oversight is very different than any of you, and if you don't like my oversight, well, you do it your own way, and I do it my own way. There
So
you go.
let me clarify that you said a $27,000 bill for the mayor, is that correct?
That's why it's on the bills.
That's exactly right. That's a deposition, and as we discussed prior to my deposition, that we've been in a lawsuit for the last 3 years with Allegheny Construction about the Depot Street, Franklin Street project. Randy and I have both been summoned to provide a deposition. I've had mine, Randy had his today, so this was noted in a meeting that this is what was going to happen, and I think we're aware of it.
This happened after it was questioned, I believe, by Mrs. Kim Bowman, had requested information about these bills. And I think this is the reason why it was brought up to town council. It wasn't brought up before then, and before the money was spent.
Very good.
So, Mayor, if I may, So I'm not recommending that apply only to one person on council. I think that should apply to all people on council. If I ignore this policy and I reach out to Reed for a personal reason, I think I should be responsible if there's a charge for reimbursing the town for that, just as anybody else should. If another business member were to reach out to the town attorney, I think that email would be ignored. I think it should be, or forwarded, not ignored, but at least forwarded to Randy for consideration. But town citizens and business owners are not held by the policies the council is. Council has adopted the town attorney engagement policy, not the citizens. So we have agreed that's the route that we'll take to engage the town attorney. And as far as sending concerns that the town might get sued, I mean, that was a recording that you took of a citizen that they didn't know that they were being recorded. You sent it to all of us. I heard what he said. He didn't say he was suing the town. He simply said that if town activities affected his business, he would have to do something about it.
That's not necessarily what he said.
He didn't say he would sue the
She
town.
has the floor, Ms. Hicks.
And you recorded him without him knowing. And then you send it to the attorney. People might say every single day, I'm going to sue the town. But that doesn't mean that we need to rack up the attorney bills and record these people and send it to the attorney and add to the taxpayer burden that is the attorney costs.
You know, Mrs. Tanya Hake, it was interesting because there was actually not he did say that if the town was not going to do what he asked to be done, he was going to go after the town for this. So I don't know what you listened to, you probably didn't hear it correctly. But let's first say a citizen, him or anybody else, would have sent that, and we got a lawsuit 2 years later on, and then the town got, to pay $5 million, and somehow or another, I had a recording of this or whatever, I'm probably thinking you guys will be pretty pissed off. And
Then
you
I
know
would
what?
just-
And here, I'm not finished. And here is the thing, that in the state of Virginia, as far as someone is part of the conversation, you can record that conversation. This right now is being recorded for all the public. That is what FOIA is created. And you know what? You can choose to record anybody, whoever the hell you want to do. I can record anybody I want to record, and that is up to me. As far as a citizen, when he was calling me, it sounded really, really hard for me at the beginning. And this is a person that I really have. I've done a lot of business with him. So it's nothing against a person. It's nothing against it. And you're taking it completely out of context. But if I had to share that because it was a conflict, it would be a FOIA violation if I didn't. And I was requested to provide any of those recordings, which I did in the past. And as you can see, I don't have much of anything. So there you go.
But we could send those to Randy. If there was a concern, we could still follow the policy.
I did.
But you sent it to the town attorney directly.
I CC him. And there was no
Engaging
bill
him.
from him.
Right, engaging him. And the policy says we'll send it to the town
And I copy
manager.
Randy on it. And I think that was my right thing to do, and ethically, I felt like I needed to do that. Now, you can choose to do how you wish, and that's how I want to do it. So, there you go.
I just think it's an odd place to place transparency. You're placing transparency on, I have this recording and I want to get it to the town attorney, but you're not placing transparency on, I'm recording a citizen and I'm not going to tell them. And I think it's just misplaced transparency.
Did he even ask if he was, I did not expect to be recording him, and I ended up recording him because I felt threatened. And so therefore, I had something, and it's not that I do believe that he will do something against the town, but I had something. And in case the town will ever be sued, I had that and I had to share it. Wouldn't you like to have those recordings if something like that was to happen, Reed? I'm sure you would.
They might be helpful at some point. I don't know.
Yeah, there you go.
Okay.
So,
All right, thank you. Anything else? Ms.
Yeah, I mean, I think that just brings us to our discussion on decorum, which I'm sorry, you may be getting ready to advance us to. I apologize.
So I do know that, and Mr. Waltz showed the town code organizational structure, and it does say citizens, which is you, mayor and council, and then there's a direct line down to town manager. But the line of contact does not from mayor and council to other department heads, it doesn't vary around the town manager. It doesn't vary around anybody else. It goes, the buck stops to the town manager passes it forward. So if we have an issue, I don't feel it's right to call a council, to call a staff member about these things unless you're going through the town manager first. Very easy to say, hey, I need to talk to somebody about this. What do you think? And let Randy make that decision. So,
That's
thank you.
interesting that you mentioned that, because when you send emails, especially to Dari and everything, complaining about my business, you actually did that directly. You didn't go through Randy. You never follow command. You say that you want to do everybody else to follow a command, and you feel like you're somewhere up here and everybody else is below it. We are right there on the same level you are.
Okay. And you're very right. You're very right. I believe Mr. Wingfield was
Oh my
aware
gosh.
of that at that time. So, all right,
Mayor, if I could.
Go ahead.
Just one more thing. Just in the discussion of decorum, I would just like us to consider the use of cell phones and the use of cell phones both in open and closed session. And I'd like us to agree to not access our cell phones while we're in session, and I'd like us to agree to not record the closed sessions. I understand some of those closed sessions, at least one has been recorded without our consent or knowledge. And so I would just appreciate if we just agree not to use cell phones. I also think it aligns with our code of ethics in number 4 and number 9 of the code of ethics. I think that there's potential to access additional information that the rest of council's not privy to if someone is having a discussion through text message with someone else while we're all making a decision.
Which is funny, because you can probably trust a lot of these people, but I don't trust any of you. And so, there you go.
thank you.
And if I could, I would also like us to consider that if we're participating in a committee or in some sort of a special designation, that we don't vote in ways that impact the town, that we abstain from those things. It's my understanding that a council member was on an awards committee and voted a town application for our park, for the Huckleberry Park, which our town staff spent a lot of time on, and voted not just as an abstention, but voted no across the board to awarding that application, the award. And so I would like all of town council to consider abstaining from those issues and not impacting the town's attempt at winning awards and having recognition for the great work that our staff is doing.
Okay. Anything else to come before we go into staff reports? Staff reports?
The Extreme Easter Egg Party is this Friday at 7 o'clock. Begins with music, concessions, and games, and the Easter egg hunt, and that's the adult Easter egg hunt, begins at 8:15 at Christiansburg Huckleberry Park. Our children's Easter egg hunt is next Saturday, April the 11th at 9:30 a.m. at Kiwanis Park.
19th, right?
It's the 11th. Sorry, that is 19th, yes. And the Extreme Easter Egg Party is the 11th.
Correct.
Spring cleanup is April 14th through the 25th. Shredathon will be Tuesday, April 22nd from 3 to 6 p.m. at Christiansburg Huckleberry Park. The Bed Build project with the police department is this Friday from 3:15 until 7:30 p.m. at Christiansburg Middle School. If you're interested in participating, if you could let Christina know. And in regards to meeting with the county, do you have any, potential dates? The county is meeting on the 14th. I think I misstated last time that they would potentially like to meet the 14th. Their next meeting to discuss it's the 14th. And if you have any, potential meeting dates that you would like to throw out, I'd be open to them and share them with Angie before that meeting.
So I sent Randy, and I copied all of you, an email today with prospective dates that I had So if you want to look at that and kind of add on to, or change or do whatever.
That's all I've got.
All right. Mr. Broughton?
Nothing to report, Mayor. Thank you.
Very good. We have a work session the 18th, 6th, what day? 16th for the budget. Very good, very good. Any council reports?
Can I ask you something really quick regarding this community support thing? I know you mentioned that it was a ballot thing to vote on it, and you were required to get an email, but if I'm correct, is that okay if I send an email, actually I sent a couple emails to Randy trying to get a reply, if we are able to actually send an email with our responses? Do you guys talk, or can we get an answer for this?
Yeah, I actually sent an email on that today.
Let me ask you all, please, to move to the microphone. Kim,
Sorry.
you
Thank
sit
you.
back a little bit there for me.
Yeah, I actually sent an email too because I really want some clarity on that before I vote on paper by email. So I don't mind the public knowing how I vote.
Well, the code does require a vote on any matter of public business to be made during a public meeting. There can be contact on an individual basis to poll council members to see what their position is, but the actual vote has to be at a public meeting.
So do we fill the ballot out and send it in or not? Was the question.
I'm going to recommend we just address it all at the work session. That particular
Is that sufficient?
$58,000 figure, well, if we have to put it to a vote in public
Thank you.
as to how do you feel on X, Y, or Z, that's what we'll do.
So we don't have a timeline for this right now, is that correct?
Well, we're going to,
On the work
hopefully,
session.
we will act on this in the budget work session on the 18th to get a stand of, okay, this is how much, whether it be the whole 58,000 or whether it be 2,500. This is how much we're recommending to the budget. And then that goes into the budget, we vote on the entire budget with that figure in it.
And I did send those questions to Randy regarding the budget stuff. I'm sure you'll forward those to Katie, is it? Katie, and reply to those.
All right, anything else to come before council? We are adjourned.